Good afternoon, Eric. Welcome to the Russia once again.
Thank you.
We are all happy to have you here, and it was a great show. We all love it. I'm pretty sure. How was your trip in Russia? And is it your first time visiting it?
The first time that I visited Russia was in 2012. As I mentioned earlier, the coldest winter that Russia has ever seen. Luckily, it was the time that that exact same year is the time that I arrived here. My first trip was kind of hectic because I wasn't clothed properly as I should have been, and so it was very cold. But other than that, since I arrived in winter and you arrive from a plus 30-degree sort of climate and you arrive into a minus 40, it's a huge change. It affects your metabolism, it affects your psychology, and the way your body works. And I think it actually affected me in a very positive way. The first thing I did was went to the Russian sauna, and we swam in the we drilled a hole in the ice on the river, and they made me jump in there. It was very savage of them to do, but they actually did it, and it was such a refreshing sort of feeling. It was really nice. I would do it again. That was my stay in Russia. It was difficult, but I adapted after a certain period of time.
Yeah. So for the 4 years of living here.
For the 4 years,
yeah.
I am now Russian almost.
Yeah. So what do you think about students and audience in general? Did they ask you good questions, interesting questions?
They asked me very interesting questions. They asked me questions that they themselves were interested in, and not just for the sake of asking the questions. Of course, just like in any presentation, in any speech, I would have loved to hear a little more questions. Because I'm sure everybody left with still some kind of misconception in their mind. It's always like that. And people are, I don't know, whatever it is, whether they are shy, whether they are just not bothered, whether they are just exhausted from their studies, which I completely understand. It's a university and it's an educational institution. And I thought the questions that they asked were very relevant to 2016, going on to 2017, in terms of a couple of questions about politics, questions about future potential as for the students for fulfilling their own potential in terms of employment opportunities in Dubai and startup opportunities in Dubai. So these are things that students need to know. Students and anybody who ever wants to work away from Russia needs to know not only about Dubai, about New York, about Paris, and London, etc., etc. So I think the questions were quite relevant to answer your question.
Yeah. So do you think you're gonna come and visit us, our university again?
Oh, I hope so. You have a lovely head of department, and I would love to be invited here again. It was such a pleasure, and state-of-the-art equipment. Very good equipment, very open-minded audience. It was absolutely lovely. I loved every single minute of it. If I had the chance to come back here, I most certainly would take up on the offer.
Anything you would tell our students, just as a last word?
As a last word, guys, I really think you guys need to ask a bit more next time. Don't be afraid to ask, because that's the only way you get answers. You don't get your answers if you don't ask. Never be shy to ask. There is no silly question. There's no such thing as a silly question. It may be silly to other people, but that's just because they know the answer. But before they knew the answer, they had the same silly question in mind. They just asked it. Maybe that's why they're laughing at you. Ask and learn. That's the best philosophy that you can have in life. Ask and learn. Those two things. You don't learn if you don't ask, and you can learn on your own. You have two choices. With that in mind, I honestly believe that you should be a bit more active and proactive in participation, especially when you have a chance to meet with foreigners. Not just me, you'll have chances to meet people from Nigeria, from Malaysia, Indonesia, and the US. You should grab the opportunity by the neck, and you should really pour out all the doubts. It's better you hear from them than you read something untrue over the internet. No matter how biased you think they might give you an answer, but at the same time, hopefully they'll give you a realistic sort of idea of what you have wanted to know. So that's my only message to you guys. Take care.
That was Eric Laith. Thank you for coming out.
Thank you. Good to see you.
Thank you.
All right.
Likewise.
See you.